to Girl Talk. My name is Jessica Jade and I will be your host. Today's guest is Shirin Eskandani. She's an opera singer and a certified life coach. She's been featured in the Today Show, Cosmo, and she's an all-around badass. So let's get started. Shirin, my first question, I like to always find out how people's culture, I know you're Iranian and from Canada, is that right?
Yeah.
So I always like to know how your culture has influenced your approach to wellness.
So yeah, I was born in Iran and then my family immigrated to Canada when I was 4. And I think a big part of kind of my journey was, I didn't have the language for it at the time, but I was very othered, right, when I was young. Like I grew up in a space, I mean, our city was amazing and fantastic and I had opportunities there that were incredible. And yet I was like a handful of brown kids at my elementary school and my high school. And so that feeling of never really fully belonging, I think that has really influenced my work. It's influenced who I work with. It's influenced the message that I want to have and how I want to approach really wellness, which is making it a really, really inclusive space for women, anyone who identifies as a woman, from any background, from any culture, and to make, because I think the ideas and concepts of wellness are for everyone.
They are.
And a lot of the ideas and concepts in wellness come from cultures such as ours, right? From a lot of like indigenous cultures, from a lot of Eastern cultures. And it's, you know, it's, everyone can have access to it, but I feel like there's a lot of appropriation going on, right?
Yeah.
So for me, like we went deep, like the first question, I'm like, let's just get into it. But for me, it's about like bringing women back to who they really are.
Right.
Right. And I think wellness really helps center us, but also it's like these ideas and thoughts and modalities.
They're not new.
They're not new. Our grandmas and our great grandmothers, they were like doing some form of it. Like we're talking about intuition, like we're talking about community, we're talking about stuff that our ancestors maybe didn't have a specific language for, but they were practicing it.
Exactly.
So really my work growing up like that, and I come from a tradition that's like super beautiful and very intuitive, right? It's just really coming back to who you are and making that accessible for everyone.
I love that. And I completely agree. I think that the wellness space a lot of times is very whitewashed.
Yeah.
Because they've found a way to market it and commodify it. And capitalism, right? We live in the US. They've found a way to take the pieces that they see as useful and make money off of them. And then we don't always see ourselves represented in those spaces. Like whenever I go to wellness events or conferences or whatever it might be, I'm like, oh shit, like I am one of 5 Black or Latina women that are here.
And I like the same experience as yours. So a couple of years ago, I went through my transformation where I discovered wellness and I was like, I loved it. Like I craved the work because it really spoke to me. And so I would go to workshops and conferences. I would do a lot of like online courses, which were taught by women who didn't look like me, right? Like white women. And in the spaces I would go to, it was very predominantly whitewashed. And because I had such a commitment to the work, I was like, okay, I'm gonna work through this discomfort. And I'm gonna be in this space and I'm gonna make it as comfortable as I can for myself. But I also recognize that that is not everyone's, like some people don't wanna do that. And that is okay. So I feel like it's our kind of obligation, I think that's the work we're doing, is to be like, this work is for you. This is work that you can see yourself reflected in, that the community, so that's a big part of why I do it as well, right?
Yeah, and I completely agree, and it's one of the reasons I started Girl Talk, because I wanted to show women of color that not only can you do this, but this is for you. This is for you too. And 99% of the time, your culture was probably the one that helped create it and start it. So it's definitely for you. On that note, how does an opera singer, because she's an opera singer who sang in the Metropolitan, like she's good, okay?
Thank you.
How does an opera singer go from singing to life coaching? I feel like they're so different.
I mean, they are different. I mean, I'll talk about the similarities that they have, but so I moved to New York 12 years ago. And I went to do my master's in music. I had always had this dream of becoming a singer. My great-grandmother and my grandmother are both very famous singers in Iran. Wow. So it's like a lineage. It was rooted in me from a young age. And I moved here, and my literal childhood dream was to become an opera singer and to sing at the Metropolitan Opera, right? Like, how many people can say that their childhood dreams actually come true? Like, if that was the case, we'd all be like veterinarians and astronauts, right? But this was like my literal dream. So I moved here, and I got into like hustle mode. And it was what I saw around me, and it's kind of what I grew up thinking I was supposed to do, which was like, my perfectionism was a badge of honor. Like, being busy was something to brag about. Right. Work had to be hard. And in the process, my inner dialogue was so mean and unkind to myself, right? And I've always been a really happy and joyful person. But on the inside, like, I was saying the most unkind things to myself. Something that you would probably never tell anyone else. Right. Something you would never tell someone else. But also, I just thought that's how I thought. Like, I just thought, that's what you think, and that's how it is, and that's how you get shit done, is by being unkind to yourself and hustling. And the hustle got me really far, and I, of course, a couple years ago, I got my contract to sing at the Met, and it was the greatest wake-up call of all time, because I remember looking at this contract, and a moment that I thought would be filled with, like, so much, like, joy, happiness, like, you fucking did it, this is an accomplishment. It didn't feel that way at all. Oof. Like, I looked at that contract and I felt, I am not enough, and this is not enough. Right? Like terror. Like, it was just like, I'm not good enough for this. I'm going to show up to rehearsal. I'm going to be terrible. And then on top of that, it's like, oh my God, how do I top this? Like, how can I make this? And I was like, and that's the moment I woke up, because I realized no goal, no achievement would ever make me feel the way that I wanted to feel. Right? Because I kept on saying, like, when I get a contract at the Met, then I'm gonna be happy. Yes, then I'm gonna feel successful. Then I'm gonna feel like I'm good enough. And I got the contract. And then you still didn't feel that way. Right, and I know that this, with my clients, with people, like, this is my message. It's like, you cannot wait on a thing or a circumstance to make you feel the way you wanna feel. You have to take that responsibility and do the work to get there. Right. Because I know this is so, like, especially with women, like, when I get married. Right, when I have children. When I have children in New York, when I get that promotion, when I get that job. Right. When my business makes this much. And it's like, it's not about that's not about that. It's not. Like, if you are not taking care of yourself, if you're not feeling, I always say that, okay, if you think a goal is going to make you feel a certain way, if that feeling is not along for the ride, for the journey, you're not going to find it on the other side. That's it. That's it. So, like, I love that. Yes, like, that's my big thing, is like, we have to learn how to cultivate that feeling of success. Like, I think it's so beautiful to dream and to, like, constantly push yourself. I call myself, like, the leader of the mindful hustle, because I'm like, the hustle is beautiful, right? Like, pushing yourself. Yeah. But if we're not doing it mindfully, then we're going to burn out. We're going to end up resenting the thing that we actually really wanted and desired. Exactly. And that's where I found myself. I was like, I'm not enjoying this, but I know I love this. I knew I loved singing. And so I got to work, and the work was, I had a year and a half to prepare my music. Okay. But I was like, I actually need a year and a half to prepare my mind. And so I started doing, like, mindful work, mindset work, Buddhism, hypnotherapy, all the stuff that really helped. Meditation. You were doing the internal work. All the internal. And I started working with a coach, and I was very lucky to find a coach who combined lots of modalities. Of course, I didn't know what these modalities were until now that I have language for it, but it completely shifted everything. And I always say my biggest achievement wasn't singing at the Met. It was singing at the Met and enjoying every moment of it. Even when I messed up. Yeah. Even when things weren't going well, I was able to be present and always be in awe of the fact that I was messing up at the Met. You know? I had the chance to mess up at the Met. Like, who? Not everybody can say that. Right. So, so that was just an incredible achievement, and that's where I was like, oh my gosh, like, this coaching work just made me come alive, and I realized I wanted to do it as well. So, yeah, I went and got certified, and then I launched my business a year and a half ago, which is, it's just kind of mind-blowing to me, because in that year and a half, so much amazingness has happened with my coaching business. But it's because you're in alignment with the things that you love to do, and you're enjoying the journey. Yes. And I think a lot of us, as
especially here in New York City, it's hard. Like, you see so many people succeeding at levels that you're just like, oh my God,
yeah,
how can I get to that? Like, how can I be on that show? How can I get that interview? How can I, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you feel like you're in constant competition with the world.
Yes. Yes.
And if your mind isn't right, if your mindset isn't positive,
yes,
and uplifting, if you're not being kind to yourself,
yes,
it's terrible. No matter what the goal is, you're not going to enjoy it, and you're going to be miserable.
And I want to also say, like, when it comes to mindset, because I also, a lot of my work is rooted in mindfulness, which is like, your mindset doesn't have to be like positive 100% of the time.
Right, because that's also...
Right, because false positivity is like, that's not going to work.
It's almost worse than being negative because you're in denial.
Yes, so it's like, really the work that it is like, really embrace, like, when I would mess up, I'd be like, oh wow, I messed up. I wasn't like, that's okay, you can, I was like, no, I messed up. I gave myself that moment to experience it. And then I was able to nurture myself out of it, which was so new to me. And it's something that, like, now as an entrepreneur, it's such a helpful tool because you're going to have more failures than successes. And if you're fixated on your failures, it's not going to be a sustainable, like, journey at all.
People always ask me, like, you know, how do you have a coaching practice and a skincare line and a blog and do speaking engagements and blah, 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 and all the things that I do. And the core of everything is because I enjoy it. I am enjoying it. Like, earlier we were just talking, she's like, so I know you're busy, but how are you? And I'm like, I'm great. Like, I feel great. Like, yes, I am busy. That is not a lie. But I enjoy the work that I'm doing so much, and the ride and the failures, that I'm like, if this is what it feels like to fail, what the hell does it feel like to really succeed?
I love that. You know? I love that so much.
So what I'm hearing is basically that not only having a life coach, but becoming a life coach changed your life.
Yes. I mean, the certification I went through was really intense. And part of it was like, I was literally being coached at least once or twice a week. So it was just a really transformative experience in that, like, I had to really face a lot of my, like, shadow sides, right? The dark sides of who I was, which I silenced for so long. And it was the most liberating thing, this thing that I thought would trap me, like, oh my God, if I actually go there, I'm not going to be able to come out. It was the most liberating thing. And yeah, coaching has been such a huge transformative experience for me, and to be able to do the work that I did with my clients now is, I mean, it's unreal. It's amazing. It's really amazing. Yeah.
I really love that. Let's see. So you made this huge, not change in career, because she still sings.
Yes.
You still sing. You're still a singer. But what tips could you give someone who's struggling with changing careers, or struggling with even choosing a career path?
Yes. So I think this is something that happens to a lot of us. Late 20s, 30s, you know, and I see it with my clients all the time, is we have ticked off the boxes that we created for ourselves when we were, like, in high school, when we were, like, in our 20s.
Right.
We've ticked it all off.
Like, what now?
But we don't feel the way we thought we were going to feel, right? Or we're struggling to tick the boxes off and we feel like complete failures.
Yep.
And for me, I'm like, it is not you are not terrible at your goals. Your goals are just terrible. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you're not failing at your goals. Your goals are failing you. So, and I think a lot of us start realizing that, and that discomfort we feel is terrifying, because you're like, I have all the things that should make me feel happy, successful, whatever. And it's like, wait, I'm not, like, I went to law school and now I don't want to be a lawyer. I did, like, you know, like, being a singer, the amount of hours and money that I have invested in this career.
Right.
Astronomical. Right? So it's like, what the hell? But the biggest thing, I think, when we even, you know, court the idea of changing, is that fear of judgment from the outside, of what are people going to think of me.
Are you hearing that, people? Don't let them sway you. Because that's, like, the biggest thing, right? Like, afraid to disappoint your parents.
Yes.
You're afraid.
Oh my God, especially as immigrant kids.
Oh God. I literally just got goosebumps because that is so fucking real.
Yes.
Like, my dad moved here to give me a better life.
Yes.
They moved all of us. Yes. Like, you know how much work and energy and sacrifice it takes?
Yes.
And for them, like, it's so funny that you mentioned that because my dad is from the Dominican Republic, and the other day he calls me, like, out of nowhere, and he's like, Jessica, what are you doing with your life? Right. I need to know what you're doing. What is your plan? Why don't you have a house yet? You're going to be 30. Why aren't you married? Why don't you have children? Like, we made a lot of sacrifice. Like, what is it? Like, and I had to sit there with him, and at first I was pissed because I'm like, dude, it's my life and I'm going to do what I want. Right. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, let me just explain it to him. And once I explained my plan, he was like, ooh, okay. Yes. And, you know,
that fear is real.
It's so real.
It's so real. And so, like, I think that is the first thing is, like, is this fear
yours?
Or is it what you think other people are going to think of you? Yes, right?
Absolutely.
That is, like, the biggest thing that I think we really have to sit down with when we think of, I want to shift careers. Mm-hmm. And I think another thing is, so for me, I launched my business in June, okay? And in October, I was on the Today Show. Like, not just like the Today Show hour 15, like our prime, like Matt Lauer when he was around, like Al Roker, Hoda, Kathy Lee. So I learned that when you make a decision and when you fully invest yourself into that decision and you do the work that you think is required to make that vision come to life, the universe will make amazing and magical things happen for you.
It provides.
It does. And I always say, like, when we were talking about manifesting, like, I believe in manifestation. I always I'm like, was that really manifestation? But it is, it's manifestation. But for me, it's like you create the vision, like what is it that I want? Why do I want it?
Right.
You cannot hold on to your how, right? Like, I could have never envisioned how I got on the Today Show. That wasn't even actually on my list, right? Like, it wasn't.
Right.
Right. But when then you take, I call inspired action, right? Like, action you think was going to get you maybe a little closer to that. Then the universe does the heavy lifting.
Right. Because it's like, it sees that it's just like finding, put that in quotes, finding a man.
Yes.
Or whatever. It sees that you're doing the work for yourself.
Yes.
Because it's not just about thinking, oh, I really want this to happen, and then expecting it to happen. That doesn't work.
Yes.
You have to do the legwork.
Yes. That is so key, and I think people mess that up with manifestation, which is just like, oh, I've written it in my journal, I've had my
action.
It's like, no, action. And you also have to really have that kernel of belief. You don't have to be at 100%, but know that this is a possibility and that it can happen. And so once I really committed myself to this vision, I saw things opening up to me, because I also think my energy was just like, people were like, yo, this girl's like really fun, really cool, like she seems like she knows what she's talking about. And it just unfolded for me. So those are some really, and to know that uncertainty, fear, and discomfort are always going to be part of the journey.
Oh,
right,
girl.
Yes.
That's some real shit.
And so I think some of us feel that, and we're like, well, maybe that means this isn't the right path for me.
And that's not true.
It's not true.
I actually, whenever I have a goal, if it doesn't scare me just a little bit, I'm like, I need to push further.
Yes. Yes.
I need to push further. I need to be doing more, because I'm not scared. I'm too comfortable.
Yes.
And you don't grow in comfort.
No. And this is work I do all the time with my clients, which is also this thing of fear, of us being able to discern what the fear is with our ego, which is that fear of failure, the fear of worst case scenario, and that fear of when your intuition is telling you to do something scary. Right? And that's a more grounded fear, where your intuition's like, you know what, you got to break up with this guy.
Right.
Or you know what, you got to just break up with this job. And it's that fear that's oh my God, I know I have to do this, and this is the scariest thing ever.
It's interesting that you say that, because whenever I have that fear, for me, when it's a good thing, I feel it here. I feel it in my chest. It's it's that nervousness, when you're nervous.
Yes.
Some people confuse that for fear.
Yeah.
But nervousness and excitement, there's a fine line.
Yeah.
They're one side of the other coin. You know what I mean? It's the same coin.
Yes.
So when I feel it in my heart that I'm nervous or I'm scared, I'm like, this is right. But if I feel it in my stomach, but this is where you have to pay attention to your body, right?
Yeah, everyone's different, and
when I feel it in my stomach, I'm like this just isn't sitting well with me. This isn't right.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Okay, so I met Shirin at a brown girl brunch, and I don't know how I even found it. I think I just saw it somewhere on social media for some reason, because I don't even think I was following you or the brown girl brunch page.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know where I saw it. Liana's page.
Right, because she was a speaker.
Liana, I'm friends with Liana. Liana posted about it, and I was like, oh, this sounds so dope. Like, I need to go. So tell us more about how that idea came to fruition.
So Brown Go Brunch is a baby of mine with my partner, Shell Martinez. And again, when I got into wellness, I wanted to make it accessible to everyone. But I also know with wellness, it's like it's not for everyone to be like, here, let's come to this like healing circle, and like, you know, which I love healing circles,
but not everyone
is about that, right? So there's different levels that you kind of have to offer people, and if they want to explore it further, or if that's good for them, then that's good. Right. So I wanted to create this space for women of color and wellness, and my girlfriend Shell has this beautiful, she's an event planner, she has this beautiful space called Shell's Loft, which you should check out.
Gorgeous. I was like,
it's beautiful.
I had to like, I'm like, wow, this is so pretty.
It is amazing. And she and I connected through our business coach. And we were talking, we had brunch, and we were just talking about like just the lack of diversity in a lot of the networking events we were going to. And it was just, So we were like, wait, what if we created like a networking event with soul just for women of color? And what I love about Bridal March, which you created, it happens every other month. And I call it more a connecting opportunity, right? And it's less about like, what do you do, as opposed to like, who are you?
Right.
Like, what makes you come alive?
I hate that question.
And you came to it, right? Yeah. Like, I feel like we strike the balance of, you know, women really connecting in a vulnerable way, but also like having a fun time.
Yes.
Right? So that is wellness. To be able to be vulnerable in a safe space is wellness.
And I love that.
Right?
I really loved it, because I ended up going to the perfect one for me, because it was the wellness event. You know, so you had Alyssa, and you had the girl from, what's her name? The girl from Gold. Trinity from Gold. And Liana was there. So there was like a wellness panel.
Yes.
And they went really deep about business and what it's like to be a woman in the wellness field. Yeah. So it was perfect for me. And then the drinks were good, the food was good. Yeah. And the people that I sat with and next to were really freaking nice. And it felt like a really good place to be at. Yeah. You know? And I told all my friends about it. I'm like, we need to go to the next one, because a lot of them are in business and are trying to network, and they're looking for spaces where they can find people who, you know, sometimes you don't want to have to explain why your hair today is a long weave and why yesterday it was a bob. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that you just don't want to have to communicate. You just want someone to fucking get it. Yes. And that's definitely what I felt when I was there.
Oh, so I'm so glad.
I'm so thankful. It was like, and it was on a Sunday, so it felt like my self-care Sunday treat, you know?
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for coming.
Really great, of course. And on the topic of self-care, tell me a little bit about, like, what are a few things that you do as part of your self-care practice?
So when I talk about self-care, I always say self-care starts with knowing yourself. And it's really knowing what is going to be the best thing for you in that moment to help revitalize you, nourish you, whatever that looks like. Yeah. And so for me, my self-care is always changing. It's very fluid. It's like, sometimes it looks like a Netflix binge. Sometimes it looks like, you know, doing my finances. Sometimes it's doing nothing at all. But that's because I can really listen to myself and like just check in and be like, what do I need right now? So self-care for me is just like always changing. But one thing that I always have is a morning routine. That's like really key for me, to just really ground myself in my intentions for the day, in my gratitude, in my actual energy. If I can start the morning off, whether that's 10 minutes or an hour, in the right way, really rooted in who I am, I know I can get through that day, have an incredible day, because I've already set the foundation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel that deeply. Like, a lot of people think that my self-care practice in the morning is like expensive, because it takes like an hour and a half or 2 hours sometimes.
I love it.
But I'm like, I make the sacrifice. I wake up early, I do my meditations, I exercise, I eat a good breakfast. Like, I need that time to like ease into the day. Before I check my phone and before I immerse myself in the energy of others, you know? I feel like we've touched on this a little bit already, but what impact would you like to leave behind with the work that you're doing?
I really want women to be able to step into whatever version of themselves that they desire, whatever they crave, whatever makes them a little scared. Like, I want to teach them, show them, be evidence of, like, hang out with women like you, where it's like, we are proof that you can pivot, that you can change, that you can shift, that you can be afraid and scared and still do the damn thing. You know? And I think we need more proof of that. Like, I love following like Tracy Ellis Ross.
I know.
Because I feel like that is someone who is just living her life for herself.
Right.
But she's still a service. She's still like doing, but she's living her life for herself in a very non-traditional way. And I want women to be doing more of that. So I really just want to hold space, show women that it is possible and you can do it.
I think you're definitely reflecting that with the way that you live your own life and the services that you're providing for women of color and for women in general.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people, you have to, what's that quote about? Be the change that you want to see.
Exactly.
And you're definitely an embodiment of that.
Thank you.
So, thank you for doing the work that you're doing. And where can we find you?
So on Instagram, I am Wholehearted Coaching. You can find my website at wholehearted-coaching.com. And on Facebook, I'm Wholehearted Coach. I feel like my Instagram is probably the most active. And if you go to my website and join my email list, I also send out a weekly email there. And then of course there's always Brown Girl Brunch, which is my baby. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Shirin.
Thanks for having me.
Really, it was a mindful conversation.
Which
is what you do. And I really felt that. And I feel like I'm leaving this conversation knowing that it's okay to be a little scared. And to do the work that I'm meant to do no matter what.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you in a couple weeks for the next episode of Girl Talk. Bye. Who run the world? Girls.